Let's talk a little bit about the belly. So normally the two rectus muscles lie right down the middle of the anterior abdominal wall, or the front of your belly, and they're pretty close together in the midline, so there's no space between them. This is what makes your six-pack or eight-pack or what have you, which you can see if there's not too much fat covering it. But this is also something that's become a very big topic of discussion because after pregnancy, weight changes, aging, various other things, what can happen over time is the muscles can separate from each other, causing something called a diastasis. And some people call it diastasis, some people call it diastasis. It's a diastasis. And what a lot of people have been doing is getting assessed for this with physical therapists or other kinds of healthcare practitioners. And there's a lot of measuring how many fingers between and that kind of thing. A diastasis in and of itself is not necessarily that much of an issue. It becomes more of a problem in the following two circumstances. One is if you have thinning of the tissues to the point where you have a little hole in them, and that's a hernia, which needs to be fixed in its own right. And the other is when the separation just causes so much weakness in the abdominal wall that the muscles are out of alignment. They can't work normally if you're trying to do certain exercises or just in terms of feeling support for your back. And then also you can get a bulge. So it's really more of an issue of the conditioning and function of your abdominal wall rather than the separation in of itself. There are people who have a diastasis and they function perfectly fine, and there are other people who don't have one at all and they have a lot of the complications. So it's super important to be examined by someone who understands exactly when this becomes an issue, when it doesn't, cosmetically and functionally. And it is something that can be repaired with a tummy tuck or without one. And this is something to look into if you're having some weakness of your back, if you feel like your core isn't strong, if you can actually see or feel the separation. And as I said before, also to be important to be examined to make sure you don't have, along with that, any type of hernia or other kind of surgical issue.